Welcome back to Yin and Yang Healing. It's Kirstin and Dur, and we're exploring beyond the physical, but talking about Kirstin's awareness. You want to explain a little bit?
Yeah. So we've talked on the podcast before about like my ex-boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of like ties in with him a little bit, a lot, but we'll get there eventually. So what happened was I went to church on Sunday, and I've been going to this church for like over a year. I've been going to this church. So the way that I found this church was through an ex-boyfriend because his parents and his sister went to this church. And so I went with them like a few times and I actually really liked the church. It was just like really nice. I like the message always like resonated with me. I really liked it. Um so this is a relationship from like over 5 years ago. Okay, so it's long done, it's long gone. And anyway, so I had like gone to that church like a few years ago, kind of briefly, because I had moved around the city of Edmonton. Like I had moved around a lot, pretty much like the whole way around. Like I was in St. Albert, moved to like the the east side, then like Shore Park, then south side, then like back to St. Albert. So I kind of like moved around. So I didn't go to that church for a long time. But in this last year, I've been going to that church consistently. I have never ran into him or his family or his sister. Like I've never run into anyone. But it's a big church. So I'm like, whatever. And I kind of just forgot about it, to be honest. And then I got baptized a few weeks ago. And his sister, because her and I used to be friends, um, she reached out to me. She was like, "Hey, like saw your baptism, like congrats, like whatever." And I was like, "Okay, like thank you, and maybe see you around, kind of thing. No big deal." And but last weekend I was at church, and then I like looked over and I saw him. He was there, and his sister wasn't there. It was just him, his new wife, and his mom, and her daughter. I think she has a daughter. And then whatever, all is good. I'm like, okay, like happy for him. This was like so long ago. And like towards the end of the service, I like look over again and they have a newborn baby. And after that, the rest of the day, even though like I'm so happy for him, it's not like I wish that was me with him and the baby. Like I don't wish that at all. Just want to make that super clear. Um, because this is not where the story's going. We just clearly weren't right for each other. It's no big deal. But after that, I just like had the worst anxiety. I was so anxious and I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna be 34 this year, and like I'm not even married, I'm not even in a relationship. Like, oh my God, like I'm gonna be 34. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm gonna be like 40 when I start having kids. Like,
Mhm.
I know it's possible, but like I don't want to. And so yeah, I just started spiraling and freaking out, and which was weird because literally the day before I hadn't been thinking, "Oh, I'm like gonna be 34 and like I'm not with anyone." I was just kind of like it's gonna
Yeah.
work out whenever it's gonna work out, like in its own timing, like it always does. And but I was just stressing so hard. I couldn't get it out of my brain, and I wasn't thinking about him. It was just like it triggered something in me where I was like thinking about me. I was like, "Oh my God, like I'm not with anyone, and like where am I going to meet someone, and I don't want to do online dating, and it's so stressful, and I just don't." I was freaking out. And then I messaged my sister, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to die alone." And just like I had a whole pity party on Sunday.
Mhm.
And then we were texting, and she does photos for people. She's a professional photographer, and she's like, "Well, out of all the people I talk to, most people do meet like their partners online. Like that's where most people are meeting their partners, or through work, or through like friends." And in my pity party, I was like, "Well, I'm not, no matter what, I don't care what anyone says, like, I am not doing online dating. Okay, been there, done that, over it. No, thank you. Not happening. Like, no, nope, like not happening." I'm not like,
Mhm.
and it's funny because you're supposed to be like open to possibilities, but I was like, that's a possibility that I just don't want to do. There's so many reasons for it. And I'm not saying it for anyone else. I'm just saying it for me personally. I just it gives me such a big ick. I just don't want to do it. So I was like, well, that's not gonna work for me. So I don't know what to do. It's like I could hire a matchmaker because there's a matchmaker in Canada
Oh,
that
cool.
seems pretty popular, right? And I was like, okay, well, I'll just I'll pay the whatever money. I think it's like $2,500 to sign up and you get like 2 years. It's like a for a 2-year membership and you get access to I don't know, or just for database or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, that's better because other people are also clearly paying to be a part of, you know, a part of this like matchmaking. So that already eliminates a lot of guys who are not like looking for anything serious. They're like, trying to get
Mhm.
over their ex or whatever. It already eliminates a lot of that because people are paying to be there. They're obviously looking to like meet someone. So I was like, well, maybe I'll do that. Like, I'll save up and I'll do that. And then I'll meet my person and it'll be great. And then I said to her, I was like, "Well, I would really appreciate, like, some, professional photos that I could use for this, 'cause all my pictures are just selfies of me. So, like, it'd be nice to have, like, other pictures to put up there." And then so this is, like, through text, wasn't calling her, this is through text. So I'm by myself. And then I was like, "Well, I already have professional photos, like, from her. I already, like, sent her that text," but I'm thinking it to my in my head, I'm like, "She's gonna say, I already did professional photos for you, like, you already have pictures where you're, like, looking cute or, like, they're random, you know?"
Mhm.
And but then I was thinking to myself, "Well, I don't like those pictures because I felt really fat in those pictures because I'd gained a lot of weight." Um, like, essentially, like, when COVID started, that's when it all started because the gyms, like, closed down, like, everything closed down, and it was just like a lot of stress going on. I lost my dream job at Planet Organic, not through COVID, but because they closed down as a business, and that was pretty traumatic and all these things. And then I didn't work, gyms were closed. I got into like a really toxic relationship, um, which I just didn't even realize at the time. Like I was just so oblivious to that. And no, he
Mhm.
just has trauma. And like, oh my God, just anyways. So, yeah, I, like, gained weight, and for the longest time, I just couldn't lose it, like, I couldn't lose the weight. I'd done so many emotional healings on it, changing my diet, changing my workout regime, doing very, like, low intensity, workouts like Pilates, like yoga, very good for your nervous system, just, like, relaxing. Couldn't lose any weight, like, nothing, like, not a budge. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, that's so what the fuck? So anyways, so she took these pictures, and I didn't really like them that much because I felt like it wasn't the true me. Because the true me, when I look back on all my pictures, for the majority of my life, I've always been pretty in shape. I've been a gym junkie since I was, like, 18 years old. Like, that's just my thing. I love working out. I love doing handstands. I love playing with working out. I love skipping. I love all that. But my body wasn't reflecting that in those pictures. And I was like, I don't want to date with like those pictures. 'Cause it just feels like it doesn't reflect me and who I am. And so then that's when it dawned on me the reason why I can't lose weight. And it's interesting the trigger of the guy at church, like my ex, seeing him at church and that whole like trigger of like this intense fear of like, oh my God, I have not met anyone. How am I gonna meet someone? How am I gonna like be in a relationship that lasts and get married and have kids and have the things that I want, right? Because I don't want to be alone and single forever. I don't want that. And I realized it dawned on me right in that moment that the reason why I think that I can't lose weight and that I keep the fat on is so that if I feel disgusting, then I'll radiate that energy of like I'm disgusting, don't look at me, don't come near me. I'm not energetically or emotionally available for a relationship or to be with a man right now. Just like there's just very like repulsing energy. And it's like if I stay fat and don't feel good about myself and hide away from the world and hide away from like dating or being seen romantically by men, then I will never be in another abusive relationship.
Mhm.
And it just like poof, it like hit me like a truck. And I was like, oh my God, that is totally it. Because my ex was a covert narcissist. And the way that he manipulated was very like, I know some people who, have partnered up with like full-blown narcissists,
Mhm.
and like their behavior is like you can really like see it from like the outside,
Yeah.
right?
I
Just like
know
the
a
things.
covert narcissist too. My partner's ex is one, and it's so weird because when you first meet them, like when I first met him, I was like, he's fucking kind of chill, like
Yeah,
until then I started seeing the shit that he would like do and say to her behind the scenes. It's like
yeah,
I'm like, he should have been a fucking actor because it's the greatest show I've ever seen.
yeah, totally. And I
So
felt
anyway,
like, yeah, I felt like really manipulated in that relationship, like a lot, like right from the very beginning. When I like look back, I'm like, man, this guy manipulated the shit out of me to the point where he made me feel like insecure. He made me feel like I wasn't worthy. He like, I don't know, I can't even like explain to you all the mind games he played with me to to ensure that I never like left him, to make sure that I never thought of anyone else, like all the ways that he like tore me down and like created these lies about me talking to other guys and stuff like that when I never did. Like he just tore me the fuck down. It was so emotionally abusive. And I didn't even realize it until I'm like a year out of the relationship. This man still contacts me, still comes into my life. He still is like trying to control me, and sometimes he still wins. And
mhm.
so I think it's such an easy way out for me is like if I just stay this way, then I will be desired by another man, and then I won't have to worry about getting into another relationship with somebody who pretends to be a normal guy, but actually like they're a narcissist.
So okay, couple things. First of all, congratulations on coming to that awareness.
Thank you.
Secondly, um a couple years ago I did this virtual summit called Your Final Weight Loss Plan, um and talked to a whole bunch of people struggling with weight like this, and this is so fucking common with weight that there is, I would say 98% of the time, some sort of traumatic, abusive type thing that happened to you, whether physical or emotional. And some people might, it's like we said before, the different degrees of trauma are completely subjective, but they affect your body in this way. And weight is the key way that I've seen that people hold and protect so that that type of abuse doesn't happen to them again. Like specifically, like very, very, very common. You'll see this with like sexual abuse survivors. They
Yeah.
typically hold a lot of weight, especially around like that, like spare tire area. But like you said, it could be like emotional manipulation. That is also very traumatic. So anyway, just want to throw that out there. And then lastly, I'm curious, when you first started dating him, and I don't know if you can remember this or not, but what what did you think that your future was going to be like with him when you first started dating?
Mm, when we first started dating, to be honest, like first I wasn't sure because I actually was like not that sure about him in the beginning. I was like, well, like, I like him, but like I'll get to know him kind of thing. And um yeah, I think for me, I like over time kind of like liked him more and like fell in love with him more, like as time like went on. Um, but that was like through manipulation.
Hmm.
And like
I'm
his love bombing and like and stuff like that. And then I thought we were gonna be like get married and whatever, but then he like flipped
mm,
all of that. right? And then it was like, then I realized, oh, he just wants to like buy a house, doesn't actually want to marry me. Like it, but then he wouldn't let me go. Like he wouldn't let me break up with him. Like it was just such a mind fuck, actually.
That actually is what I wanted to uncover, but I wanted you to say the words, not me. Is that at one point you thought that you guys were going to get married,
Yeah.
which is one of these like things that you've been desiring for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would give you the statement of all the oaths, vows, loyalties, and commitments you made to this guy out of loyalty to him, or I already said that. Basically, all the oaths, vows, loyalties, commitments you made to this guy
Yeah.
to marry him in your
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Can you destroy and uncreate them all now?
Fuck yeah.
And all the, just a sec, there's one more coming. All the ways that you are using that subconscious loyalty to distract you from the marriage you could be finding or choosing. Can you destroy and uncreate them all now?
Yes. That's so true. I'm so glad you said that actually, because in one part I feel like it is like trauma and a protection from like being in a relationship again, but on the other hand I also feel like it is a deep subconscious loyalty to this man. And
Mm-hmm.
that's part of like how he manipulated me too. Like after we broke up, we would like he would still like call me like here and there, and then he'd be like, so like, are you dating anyone else? And I would be like, no, no, like of course not. like like I had such a blind fucking loyalty to him that I was like, no. And I think part of it was like I was also afraid of like what he would do if if he found out I was with like somebody. So in one way it's a protection for me from like meeting someone else, but it's like a protection for me like from him if I
There's
don't meet someone else.
yeah,
It's very like it's there's a lot there.
there's also another piece that you very briefly touched on that I caught, that it goes a little bit deeper than just him. And at one point you said, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to die alone. And to
Yeah.
me, that goes back, that could be even a previous life, like energy carried forward. But basically, this desire to want to have a family, be married, whatever, is probably playing off of that deeper inner wound a little bit too, which is totally fine. But
Yeah.
if you were to break that as well, how much more freedom would you have to just be like, I'm going to accept whatever comes?
Yeah.
So all the oaths, vows, loyalties, contracts, commitments you made to never dying alone, can you revoke, rescind, recant, denounce, renounce, destroy, and uncreate them all from every level, every layer, every lifetime, every piece of your DNA?
Yes. I do.
And all the lies you bought and sold, that dying alone will be the worst thing in life, can you destroy and uncreate them all now?
Yes. You know
Because
what's crazy?
the truth is how many people actually die alone? Even if they did get married, they did have a family,
Yeah.
it's very possible that that outcome could still happen. Even if you have a family, you've got married, you never know what that part of your life is going to look like. Is your
I
family
guess
still
I wouldn't
around? Did
want
you
to like
outlive them?
die. I guess I wouldn't want to die without like making the effort to fight to like have a marriage and have children.
Right.
Like,
That's
I mean,
your
ultimately, yeah,
conscious
die alone. Like that's
perception.
like, yeah, that's my
That's your
conscious.
conscious perception. But your subconscious, which just came out in a little blip second, is saying, I don't want to die alone. And so it's like metaphorically, you're creating these patterns so that you never die alone. But the truth is like, it's possible that you could die alone. But if you could subconsciously release that, you'll take back that energy to be able to experience
Yeah.
these things that you want to experience.
Yeah. 100%. And it's crazy because when I was younger, like I never wanted to be married and I never wanted kids. And so it's a lot there. It's just like now I'm like, what? No, like I have to have kids and I have to like be married. And now it's like the opposite. And I just need to chill. Yeah.
Totally. I feel it. I used to be the same way too when I was
I was like, nope, never having kids, and da, da, da. And my sister was always the one that like wanted kids and whatever. Now she got 3 kids, and now I'm like, well, I want that, you know? Yeah. It was a
So
pretty big,
how do you
pretty
want to
big
feel now?
realization.
Like, how do you want to,
I just want to
what
be completely free from.
what is your life going to look like when you have what you desire?
It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be like so fun and like just like so full. Yeah. Of like
Okay.
love, like true love, not fake love, not like love bombing, not like, yeah, on a bunch of talk. It's just gonna be like real deal.
What is the real deal? What does the real deal look like to you? What is real love to you?
Mm, real love to me would be like being with someone who actually like likes me, like
And
someone who
how is
enjoys like my company, like someone who's like who's my friend, and we like communicate like well. We don't argue, we don't fight, we just discuss things. We have each other's back all the time. Like there's no arguing, there's no fights, there's no trauma drama. It's just like it's just easy. It's easy to be together. It's easy to be happy. Just easy to work through shit. It's just easy. Easy to have fun. Just easy.
okay?
Yeah.
So without all those patterns of loyalty and to trauma drama, can you give yourself permission to let go of all those feelings of anxiety and to choose that real love?
Yeah. I'm ready.
And just because I don't know how to say this one in a question, I'm just going to say it as if you're going to say it. I love and accept myself. Receiving real love,
Yeah.
even though I'm afraid we might argue. I love and accept myself. Receiving the easefulness of true love, even though I'm afraid
I'll be manipulated again.
it might be hard sometimes.
Yeah. Except for arguing is one thing and being hard is one thing. This person was not that. I've seen people argue I've seen relationships argue. I've seen relationships be hard. This was not that. This person was, um, like, it was like psychological terror. It really was. It's not, you don't, you don't argue with regular people that way. Like, he would be so, um, like a dog with a toy. Like, he just couldn't let something go. And it was about like him assuming that I was cheating on him or talking to someone, like, and it was something or something from my past or whatever. And he would get a hold of it and he would not let it go. There was no, I wouldn't even call that arguing. I would call it emotional terror. And he would be in a blind, like, and it was like he would just in a circle and a circle and a circle. Like, there was no talking him out of it. It was so insane. It was so psychotic, so neurotic, so disgusting. His like neuroses of like, no, you said this, you meant this, no, you are talking to someone else. Like, it was so like that. It was so fucked up. The only way I could ever make it stop is if I got into a blind rage and broke something or screamed or like, it was so toxic. To me, that's not arguing. That's something totally else. That's
I hear
emotional
you.
and psychological warfare. It was terrible.
I hear you. And
I'm afraid of that, not arguing with somebody.
it
My mom and I
sounds to
argue.
me, yeah, I hear you. It's, yeah, that's beyond, it's not constructive communication.
Not in any way at all.
And it sounds to me like, I know we were trying to like do a couple little statements here, but it seems to me that you need, like, these statements that I'm giving you are basically just trying to open up some awareness, and your trauma from that experience has actually hit you pretty hard, that I think you need to go into an actual like full session with this. I need to get you into that theta state, because you're not in the theta state now, so you're not accepting some of the things that I'm saying. But basically what I was saying with the last statement was, real love isn't always easy. I know, because I'm in a relationship like that. We've had some very difficult times. We've had some pretty hard arguments, but yeah, we're not having arguments like you just explained, but it's not
and like
always just so
that
easy.
to me to have those arguments like that is easy. I guess that's like where my brain is at, because to me to have a normal argument with someone, that would be easy to get through compared to what I went through with this person.
Right.
Like, because you couldn't, there was no outcome with this person. There was no understanding. There was no agree to disagree. There wasn't that. It was just, he would push me to a psychotic rage and that would be it. Then he would snap out of his spell and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So to me, anything that is not that would be easy, because there was no resolve with that person ever. You can't resolve something with a person like that. You just can't.
Yeah.
Like, it was like arguing with like his inner demons. Like, it was, yeah.
I think there's a very fine line here, because it really boils down to both parties being open to working on themselves. Because I can say from experience that it was really hard for myself to come to a resolution at one point, and I had to find within myself how to move past that, so that my partner and I could have constructive conversations, right? So it's like, and it's not like I was sitting there being like that kind of person that you described, but I also wasn't coming to a resolution like in your ideal situation, like how your ideal situation was.
But were you like
it's kind of in the middle.
you like talk to your partner like they never did anything, and you're talking to them about their assumption, like their assumption about you or what you said or what you did is real, even though it's not real? Is that what you're arguing about? Something that's not real? Because we would
Well,
argue about things that were not real.
yeah,
Not
I'm not
real.
trying to justify this guy and his behavior
Yeah.
at all. I'm not trying to justify that at all.
I'm
All
just
I'm trying to
I'm just
say is
I'm
like,
just
but what
asking,
is
like,
real? What is real? Because what's real to one person might not be real to another person. We're all creating our
I
own
would say,
reality,
so
right?
if your partner said ABC and you interpreted a certain way, but they were like, hey, no, like that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that. Would you fight your partner to the death and say, like, no, I know this is what you meant. I know you meant it this way. Even though they were like, no, 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 like that's not, sorry, you interpreted that. That's not what I meant. Would you hound them to prove that they meant it the way that you internalized it?
Well, not me personally, but I
Okay,
have
that's what
had
I
my
mean. Like,
own words twisted. And like I have had that experience where with my
yeah,
current partner, where I'm like, you literally are saying something completely not what I said. Like you're twisting my words.
yeah.
And now you've turned it into something much more than what it actually is. And so like, did my partner like get all like, that intense with it? No, but was she having a very, very real emotional experience based on how she interpreted it? Yes. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
that's fucked because I didn't say that. So it's
So
like,
then what happens after that when you say, no, I didn't say that, or that's like not, like in my head, that's not what I was saying. Then what happens?
well, we went through like a lot of fucking therapy together to get to this point, but like now we would try to validate each other to
But
come to
like,
a resolution about it.
I mean, before, if
Well,
you explain,
before we would just fucking stew in it. And
yeah,
there's a lot of resentment building and like all this kind of stuff. So it's like, I guess all I'm trying to say, the only point I'm trying to get across is that besides somebody who's fucking narcissistic and whatnot, not everybody knows how to have constructive conversations like this. And so like, but that doesn't mean they don't truly fucking love you. You guys just might have to come together to work to make that like to come to that understanding, to work together to figure out how to communicate with each other. So all I'm saying is it might not be this fairy tale in the beginning, but it could end up that way
that would
if you're
still be,
willing to get there.
that would still be easy in my mind. Because this person, like what you're talking about, there was none of that with this person.
Right.
There's not that there.
I get that. And I'm
Like
like,
it
I
was
don't.
just like there was like no matter what, I was with this person for over 2 years. There was no coming to that point for.
I understand what you're saying. I don't know why we keep going back to this person because I'm not referring to this person at all. All I'm saying is that what you said that you want, you can
Yeah.
have, but
Yeah.
be aware that you might have to go through a little ish to get there.
Right. Yeah.
You might
And I'm
not.
just
You might not.
right.
So
And
I'm
I'm
not
just saying,
saying
like, that's how bad it was with this person, that anything that is not that would be easy in my mind.
okay.
It's easy to me to work with somebody through things, right? That they're like, okay, yeah, let's work through it. When somebody is like so neurotic, so committed to their like emotional abuse and their like manipulation and their stronghold, right? When they're so committed to that, there's no, yeah,
I hear you. I know a person. There's a person in my life that's like that. I get it. I believe you.
so like
And
anything that is like not that is easy to me. So that's what I'm just saying. Like, I get that, like, yeah, things are gonna come up. We're gonna have to like learn to communicate with each other, and like hard things are gonna come up. Like for sure, bring it on. That is easy to me. If I can work through with somebody and we can like see each other's like, point of view, and we can like start to learn how to communicate with each other, and I don't have to throw a glass jar on the ground to break the person's spell of neurosis. If I don't have to do that and I can come to a communication with this person, that would be easy. So easy. Even though maybe to most people it would still be hard, but to me, that would feel easy because at least you're getting somewhere with that person. And each time you do it, you're getting somewhere with that person. This person, there's no getting anywhere. It's just a loop of like crazy. There's no getting off. No getting off. Yeah. That's where I'm at. All this stuff with the relationship is all coming up. It's like the more that I talk about it, the more that I'm removed from this person, the more that I realize how traumatic that all was.
Mm-hmm. Let it out. I understand why this is coming up. It's because I can feel the energy that you still have that's going towards this person that needs to be released and healed.
Yeah.
And I know you'll get there.
Yep.
And once you do, you will invite this beautiful new
Just so
situation.
tired of dealing with like all this like stuff with this person because I feel like I've worked on a lot of things already. It's just still so like there's all these other like levels and layers, and it's like I'm so tired of it. Like I just want to be done like with this person and like what they did, and I just like how long am I gonna have to deal with it for? Is it ever gonna be over? It's a nightmare. It was a nightmare when I was in it, and it's still a nightmare.
Have you done like a specific session on it?
On what, like the communication with him or just like him?
Just him in general and what
Yeah.
happened?
Not maybe like not fully in depth of like everything because it's all like the more that I like talk about it, like and actually what happened, because when we were together, I like suppressed a lot of it. So the more that I actually talk about the exact examples of like what happened, the more that I am like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a shock. It's like, oh, like
Yeah.
I went through that. I endured that.
It sounds to me like you might need to go into a session with the specific intention of something like, I want to release this person from my life and what they did to me.
Yeah. Maybe I need to
Because there's a
say
lot of
that part of like
energy there.
what they did to me, because it's like I've had sessions with this person and how they created insecurity and like soul ties and like all kinds of things. But it's like I don't think I've ever had a session about like what they did to me.
Yeah.
Like the emotional like terror. I don't
It's
think I
like,
ever, because I'm
think of,
still just like real I'm still just like realizing it. Like even though it's been so long, I'm like just realizing how bad it was.
yeah. Like think about like a sexual abuse survivor, for example. They usually have, I don't know, sometimes even up to like 3 sessions on just the abuse, right? So perhaps something similar could be helpful for you. Because again, I can just feel that energy that you still have that's going towards it. And it's taking away from what you're desiring. It's like, here's the thing you want, and here's your energy towards that person. And this thing is going like this. Because this is fucking like, oh, this motherfucker. My dog just like got freaked out. And so really you gotta like rein this shit in and be like, okay. Let's bring this over here.
Yeah. It's just so crazy because I think like, oh, okay, I've like moved on and I'm like happy and blah, but as soon as I start talking about it, I don't know, it's like a new realization every time I talk about a certain scenario. Because when we were together and even after we broke up and like whatever, it literally wasn't until like a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that I realized that he was a covert narcissist. So it's just like all these things are coming up now where I'm like, oh my God, like when he did this and when he did that, and even after we broke up and all of these like things. So it's like all new again.
Yeah.
It's really shitty. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that with us. I know some of what I was saying is a little pointy.
No, it's good. Obviously, you're right. Yeah, there's lead density there still. So
So if
you just think
anyone,
that you're not, you just think that you're like not like, I don't know. You just think it's like a shitty relationship. You don't realize that it's like actual like emotional abuse. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you minimize it and like whatever. And now like talking about it, I'm like, holy fuck.
yeah.
I was like, he was actually like quite abusive.
So for those watching and listening, if you have experienced something like this, drop us a message and let us know your experience if you're open to it. I'd actually love to even have someone on here to talk about and unpack it if they are interested, but you got to drop us a message. So on Spotify, you can leave us a message. On YouTube, you can leave us a comment. And then of course you can always email us too if you don't want it to be public. But stoked to hear what everyone else is thinking on this topic. It's a pretty big one.
Got it. Sorry for the density. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I think it's
Had to be
important
done.
because we covered a lot of things as far as like connections and patterns and stuff like that will hopefully be helpful for others. So yeah, appreciate your openness.
Maybe like other people, if they hear this episode, maybe they'll like actually think and reflect on their relationship, and maybe they didn't realize it was abusive, but now they realize it is. And it's just crazy because if you push it all down and you just like move on with your life, it just because you push it down doesn't mean it's gone. It's still there, obviously, right?
And it can
So
show up in physical ways like weight gain.
yeah. And it's just like it's so many factors with it too. It's like carrying the weight of all that, carrying the weight of that abuse, and not acknowledging it and just carrying it around,
And the
It's like,
anxiety that has come along with it from what you explained.
yeah, because
So
I
how
think
many people out
unconsciously I
there?
know so long as I hold on to this, then I will not find that person. Yeah, I will like keep
Yeah.
staying like tied to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's a very good job on the dark side, on the emotional abusers. You did a very good job of getting what he wanted. This is exactly what he wanted, to ensure that I never like met anyone else, even if he wasn't with me, that he still like owned me essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And abusers usually have been abused. So
Yeah.
they're not
But that
forgiven
was
for what they've
my
done, but that's how you can have forgiveness for what they have done to you.
yeah, I definitely want to forgive him, but I will say that's like I think that's part of why I stayed for so long too, is because I tried to conceptualize and understand his like trauma. And I always made that the concession for him, was like, yeah, but he's had this trauma and like he's working through it. And, my understanding of trauma kind of like kept me stuck with him.
Mm. Yeah.
Because instead of saying like, hey, you got to work through your stuff, I see this like with you, like I got to go, like you got to work on it. I felt like this need to stay and like help him in a way. I don't know.
That's, I feel like, so common for healers and empaths. It's like we feel this draw to have to fucking help people or heal people or fix people or whatever, but it's not your responsibility to fix others.
Yeah.
You might be in their life to give them that awareness, but you don't have to necessarily fix them. And that's a whole nother episode we could talk about, is boundaries.
Right? I mean, never
Energetic
again. I really
boundaries.
hope my future husband has it all that like sorted out already, and I don't have to. I won't. Not that I don't have to. I won't. I won't choose a partner like that again. And this could go into like another episode too of like the importance of like slowing down in relationships and really taking your time to get to know someone, and not bonding yourself to somebody physically too quickly, and not kissing them too soon, not being physical too soon, so you can actually like get to know this person. And because when you start kissing and having all those hormones and start being physically bonded to them through sex, you just totally don't pick up on, like, if I had like waited longer with this dude, I really feel like I truly would have picked up on his covert narcissism, and I would have picked up on his insecurities and his trauma, and I would have been more clear, and I would have been like, can't do that. Yeah.
Well, it all happens for a reason, and that's why
I
we
know.
explore beyond the physical on this
Ah!
podcast.
I just
So
thought that in my head. I was like, but it's all for a reason.
So we'll leave it at that. But make sure you guys drop us a message so we can connect and dive deeper into this topic. And thank you for listening and watching. We'll see you on the next episode.